In this video, we are going to solve linear inequalities. It's almost exactly the same as solving linear equations, except there's one little thing we need to remember that pops up in some situations. Right here we have negative 7 is greater than n minus 3. Let's go ahead and solve for n. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides to get n by itself. And notice that this greater than sign comes straight down. So right now we have negative 4 is greater than n. This looks a little funny like this though, so let's get the n over on the left just by flipping everything, including the inequality. So I have n is less than negative 4. These two steps say the same exact thing. Notice the mouth is about to eat the negative 4, just like it's about to eat the negative 4 here. But now the n is on the left. And with inequalities, that's especially important. Here we have negative 9k is less than 18. Now here's where we need to remember one very important thing. When we multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, like we're doing here, the inequality switches directions. So notice it went from less than to greater than. This was a one-step solution, so we're done here. So we have k is greater than negative 2. So when we multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality switches directions. Here we have 8n minus 1 is less than or equal to negative 9. So we'll go ahead and add 1 to both sides, and then we'll divide by 8 on both sides. And each time the inequality just keeps coming along for the ride, just like it is here, unless we multiply or divide by a negative number, which doesn't look like it's going to happen here because we're going to be dividing by a positive 8. And we end up with n is less than or equal to negative 1. Notice the inequality did not switch directions because we never divided or multiplied both sides by a negative number. Now we have 3 minus b over 3 is greater than 6. We're solving for b. Right here we have 3 minus b over 3 is greater than 6. So we're trying to get b by itself. We'll start by getting this fraction by itself. Now to get rid of this 3, we're doing the opposite of what's in front of the 3. Well, we understand that this is a positive 3, so we're going to be subtracting 3 on both sides. So we ignore the operation that comes after it for this step. So 3 minus 3 is 0, those cancel out. Now we have negative b over 3 is greater than 3. I'm going to relocate this negative sign here and put it with the 3 in the denominator. And now it becomes clear that we need to multiply both sides by negative 3 so that we can cancel these out. So on the left side, now I just have 1b, or just b. And notice I multiplied both sides by a negative number. So I need to switch the direction of this inequality. And we end up with b is less than negative 9. I have 8 times the quantity n plus 6 is less than or equal to negative 16. Now here we could distribute the 8 first, but notice that we can divide both sides by that 8. In particular, 16 is divisible by 8. So let's go ahead and do that. That'll keep the numbers smaller. So we're dividing both sides by 8 because 8 divided by 8 equals 1. So now we have 1 times n plus 6, or just n plus 6 on the left. We don't need to switch the direction of the inequality because we did not multiply or divide by a negative number. And we have negative 16 divided by 8 is negative 2. Now we just need to subtract 6 on both sides. We have n is less than or equal to negative 8. Here we have the quantity a minus 2 over 9 is greater than or equal to negative 6. All right, let's get rid of this fraction by multiplying both sides of the inequality by 9. We're doing this because 9 divided by 9 equals 1, leaving us with a minus 2 on the left side. The inequality does not switch directions because we didn't multiply by a negative number. And we get negative 6 times 9, negative 54. And we'll just add 2 to both sides. We have a is greater than or equal to negative 52. You have k plus 9/10 is greater than 9/11. All right, we have a couple of fractions here. Now, I like to get rid of those fractions in the first step if possible. And the least common multiple of 10 and 11, well, that's going to be 110. So I'm going to multiply both sides of the inequality by 110 because that will cancel out both of these denominators. 10 divides into 110, and so does 11. Now, when I multiply both sides by 110, I end up multiplying each term by 110. So I'm multiplying the k by 110. I'm multiplying the 9/10 by 110. And I'm multiplying the 9/11 by 110. Now, as we simplify this, remember that 110 divided by 10, that will equal 11. And 110 divided by 11 will equal 10. All right, so we have 110 times k is 110k. 110 divided by 10, well, that's equal to 11. So let's see, those will cancel out, and we're left with an 11. So I'm write times 11. So I have 9 times 11. So plus 99. So 110 divided by 10 equals 11, which meant I had to multiply this 9 times 11. All right, this greater sign just tags along. And I have 110 divided by 11. Well, that's equal to 10. So I'll multiply the 9 times 10 because 110 divided by 11 equals 10. All right, and that equals 90. Now we have an inequality that doesn't have any fractions in it. So let's go ahead and solve for k. So k is greater than negative 9 over 110. All right, these last two examples, we are going to rewrite inequalities in slope-intercept form. It's a lot of times helpful to get your inequalities and equations in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. In this case, we will have an inequality instead of an equal sign. All right, we're trying to get y by itself. So let's go ahead and add 5x to both sides. Negative 5x plus 5x, those just cancel out because they make 0, leaving us with positive 5y on the left. These are not like terms, so we'll keep them separate. The inequality tags along. Now we need to divide both sides by 5. And when I divide the right side by 5, I end up dividing each term by 5. That leaves us with just y on the left. Our inequality is still a less than. 5 divided by 5 is 1, so that's just an x. And 7/5, we'll leave that as a fraction. If you wanted to change it to a decimal, that's fine. So in slope-intercept form, this equation is written as y is less than x plus 7/5. So the slope is 1, and the y-intercept is 7/5, or 1.2. One more time here, we're trying to get y by itself. Let's start by adding 4x to both sides. These 4x's cancel, leaving us with negative 4y is less than, and these are not like terms once again, so we keep them separate. Let's put the x's first. And finally, we'll divide by negative 4. You need to remember we're working with an inequality. Since we're dividing by a negative, that inequality is going to switch directions. So divide by -4. When we divide the right side by -4, we end up dividing each term by -4. So that'll be y is greater than, well, 4 divided by -4, that's equal to -1. And I'll rewrite this with the negative sign in front. And let's rewrite the whole thing again. That 1 looks a little funny there. Normally when we have a 1 as a coefficient, we just leave it out. So if y is greater than -x minus 3/4. So we have a slope of -1 and a y-intercept of -3/4. I hope these examples have been helpful. This is Mr. Ela, signing off.